they are waking up en masse. But they are waking up too late. Even so, things will not change by magic, but by a chain of events towards the positive. The spiritual information that we give them will be especially useful to the awakened ones who will fight against the system without taking vaccines. The vaccinated ones will lack their own thought. This has been seen before in the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. She passes the forbidden fruit to him, the knowledge. That knowledge does not refer to technology or how to plant or sow fruit. That knowledge refers to the awakening of consciousness, awakening to the fact that they are exploited and controlled. In other words, the same spiritual awakening that happens today. What is happening today? So, as it was then, they have to be subdued, stopped from learning, from realizing what is happening. Adam woke up. The Adams, as a race, not a man. And today, the history repeats itself. That is why civilization must be destroyed, because they are escaping. They must be returned to the flock. It is the same. That's why I am not interested in giving standard videos. That is why I am not interested in talking about what the Illuminati are saying, and that Bill Gates is the son of a Nazi eugenicist, and that the Rockefellers said this and that. What interests me is to give what is not known, to change the course of what humans want. We have talked about the memory implants that the Federation does. Let's talk about that a little bit first. How do they justify doing this? This, according to them, is not interference and breaking of Prime Directive? It doesn't matter if it's done with low technology, but it is interrupting the natural development of situations. Comments Robert. They are leading people like sheep. They base themselves on what they perceive as the true needs and desires of the people in question. But yes, from another point of view, they lead them like sheep. That is why, if they wake up, they cannot guide them, and that does not suit either the Cabal or the Federation that is supposed to give the humans what they truly want. But as we have already said in the videos, that is invasive too, because how do they know? There is no parameter on how the normal development of situations should be, because as it has always been this way, the Federation just continues doing the same as always. How can they know what this and another person really want? They are playing gods. You can know what the person wants if they have a record of their statements and combine it with the data that they receive about what each person wants. But the problem is also that what each person wants in 5D or 3D does not reflect what they really want and have planned from higher densities. Well, they should listen to the channel called From Planet Earth. There they clearly have what these people want. What are they going to give them then? And how do they give to the awakened ones? If they have to give to people what they want, what do they give to the awakened ones? They have to be consistent. What they give to the awakened ones, according to them, is the experience of waking up and fighting there as a life plan. That is clear and well documented. And yes, that YouTube channel is important and from various perspectives, because there at least people express themselves and the Federation that monitors everything has another source of direction, of direct wishes of the population. These people who express themselves there don't want to fight. They want other things now. So the Federation has to give it to them, according to their logic. If they don't, the karma of their own law that they follow will fall on them, in theory. Comments Robert. Yes, it's not about what the Federation wants, but what the awakened humans want. From 5D level, and even higher from higher densities, what happens in human 3D is contained and simplistic, a game. It's just that they take it very seriously once inside. This statement is not mine. It is heard everywhere in 5D. And it has also been exposed by Dolores Cannon as something repetitive on the part of people on whom she has done or performed a deep hypnotic regression. It is just a game, incomprehensible to humans, but it is the truth of how it looks from 5D. So, awakened humans fighting the sleep, vaccinations, all of that is just a game taken too seriously. And taking it too seriously is what causes the suffering. Comments Robert. The problem is that the experience is real. That is the intention, to make it real. But the problem is that also from 5D Federation level, they only see it as a game. And from higher densities, you can see that the Matrix 5D and 3D both are a game. So that's also why they don't intervene, because of the unreal nature of the game. Because also many people who they have taken out of the 3D, whether by physical extraction or after death, have complained that they do not want the Federation to intervene because it ruins the game. And I am talking about people who were suffering. So the Federation itself has their hands tied to intervene from the point of view of the request of the very people below. Because I remind you that most people on Earth have had several incarnations there. Then they leave Earth when they die or however, and return to complain about the help of the Federation that monitors and supervises the game. So at the request of human players, whether they are in the middle of a world war, crawling through the trenches among horses and dead people, that's what they want. Because as I have told you before, upon death, or from outside the Earth, interests and values change, and also the way of interpreting things and of what happened changes. And it is because the consciousness expands. So things are seen in a more expanded way, and that leads to another interpretation of the same events, and this includes of suffering. Okay, it's the game. So if it's the game and it doesn't really matter, why not play with something more enjoyable? It is the game. Why play a macabre game? And why the wishes of souls from 5D should be more important than the wishes from here, if the experience here is real too? My soul and consciousness is the same as there, and what I wish here must be equally respected. It doesn't matter what my 5D or other focus point wants. My focus point of now wishes otherwise. Respect it, Federation. I doubt that when I return to 5D, I am going to say, no, keep the suffering on Earth. Comments Robert. The point is that the awakened ones do not want violence. Those who complain about the help and that this is what they want, let them stay here forever. But the voices that should be heard more are of those who are here now. What matters is the perception of those who suffer it now. Those who leave 3D and state they want to keep the game just experience big relief and say whatever comes to their mind. Yes, and returning to the main point that they have to give humans what they want, humans from 3D. Okay, so they must give the 3D awakened humans what they want too. It is only logical. If you give battles to some, give peace to others who only want to live in peace. I do not get it. They are being very selective about what they give to humans. Have they only one ear? According to the Federation, what the awakened want is the contrast they receive as growth from having been there, appreciating the peace they will have on the other side or other existential plane, thanks to the experience on Earth. That is to say, that what they will give to the awakened ones, what the awakened ones want, will come after they leave there. Because what they ask is against or is incompatible with the nature of the 3D matrix of the Earth. That is where the idea of the famous rapture comes from. I understand this. I love the contrast too. But I still think that the Federation has to give humans what they want just the same. The awakened and the non-awakened humans. If not, they are not being consistent. Because if you have woken up, then you have done so because of some prenatal plan or whatever. So your soul desires it from other planes. No one wakes up against their higher plane souls. So it is the desire of the soul within 3D and also of their 5D souls and beyond. If you have awakened in accordance with your higher selves, it means that being awake and free is what you want at all levels. So the Federation has to listen to them, because you have said that their hands are tied by the desire of etheric souls. Comments Robert. Exactly. They must be heard equally, 3D or 5D. Otherwise, it is not fair. From your point of view of 3D life, yes, you are being respected because you are given what you manifest yourself. Because one of the many purposes of being in 3D is to learn to modify and alter energy, matter, manifesting. And some people are more focused than others. That's why later what they don't want appears more. But that is what they are there for, to learn to manifest what they want. And what you said is true. But being awake and pressing others to wake up can ruin the game for those others who want the game of being asleep. So the awakened ones are overriding the rights of the asleep ones. Because you also incarnate on Earth to watch the football game, eating nachos with cheese and drinking beer with friends with a funny hat on your head. And that is incompatible with the awakened person yelling at them to do something more important. Okay, yes, I understand. But we are talking only about the awakened ones. The Federation has to give those something too. Imposing vaccines for everyone is going against their will. It would be more fair if the vaccines were totally voluntary, so the awakened people choose what they want and others too. No one will have to yell at anyone. Let each one choose. Imposing vaccines on the awakened ones is imposition. The awakened ones are given the experience first. Then they will return or be given what they want, and that is going to another planet, because they are incompatible with that one, since those awakened ones do not appreciate the value of a touchdown. That is why it is called the rapture. They will not be there. But they want to experience being free here, on planet Earth. In this case, it is like Dolores Cannon describes it, how the Earth is split in two, where some are in their 3D and others are on Earth awake and happy. That's Dolores Cannon. I say that this is more complicated due to the infinite number of parallel and temporal lines, one per person at least, not counting their own multiple lines. It is one per person, and from there the agreements are born. But without the complete data, everything seems illogical. The most obvious data for me is that you cannot be awake without your higher self's desire. That's right. So with this data, wanting to be awake on Earth is what the soul desires, from here and from above. So what follows is the Federation has to give it to them. Comments Robert. Maybe your wish is to help. That's why we are here. Help from within. I think we can only report that this is shit when we get out of here. Maybe yes, but maybe others just want to be here in the awakened world. I don't know. That is why they express themselves in that channel call from the planet Earth. And their wishes must be heard, because those desires are not something against their desires from above. Cannot be. You cannot be awake without the collaboration of your soul above. The only question here would be, why are they awake? But they cannot be forced into a non-awakened state. They cannot be forced to regress with vaccines and all that. It is against their wish. So the Federation breaks the law. With the old saying, "Who does not speak, God does not help," it is enough to understand the reason for that channel. It also makes people think about what they want for themselves when making the video. They get clear on that themselves. I see the importance of that channel. And as I have told you, from one angle they are breaking the law, and from another not. With all this madness on Earth, it can also be seen that it is like a test for humanity, as what happens borders on the surreal. From my angle, which probably still doesn't have all the data, okay, I see that they break that law from all angles, because your soul from higher planes wants to be awake. I doubt you want to wake up and then go back to the vegetable state with the chip and all. So they are breaking the etheric desire of these awakened souls. And yes, it is super surrealistic. Like for example, with so much data, people continue to obey everything. Even things that are clearly meaningless, like masks, confinement and all that. But they continue to allow everything as a collective. If only a handful of people refuse the mask, they will have problems in society. But if 95% chooses not to wear them, then no authority can force them to use them. Same with vaccines or anything else. Not speaking from the individual point of view, but of collective agreements. I understand that a single person will not be able to remove the mask to go into a store to buy. But as a collective, yes, they accept it, and that they receive. That is yet another problem with the Federation, because in those cases, they look at the collective, not the individuals. Comments Robert. Sure, they give importance to the collective, when a holographic society gives importance to the individual. Other rules apply here. On the Earth, from the collective, the individual is formed. He becomes programmed. In Taygeta, the society is formed of the individual and from his agreements with other individuals. Yet, it is far from being a perfect society. We must appeal more to the Federation, because imposing so many strict things, no, I do not see it as the desire of humans. Let's not let them hide behind this excuse. Imposing vaccines and mandatory chip to later fully guide people's perception is exaggerated interference, where these souls will no longer have their own will. This is exaggerated. Someone has to do something for them to see this. We, as members of the Federation, have the right to appeal. If they don't listen, they are being regressive. Asks Robert. Who would want to live in a zombie container? Yes, and then, when they are zombies, what ET race is going to want to have this type of game? The game consists of some free will as well. If humans are zombies, they end their own Matrix game, because being a zombie is no longer expansive for the soul, and they want expansion, right? Comments Robert. No ET in their right mind will want to experience such a life. Precisely, without logic. Having some suffering, okay, it can expand you, give contrast. Being a zombie, not anymore. Comments Robert. You get more from being incarnated in a cat than in a zombie. So they lose their game and their very excuse of having this place for soul expansion. Comments Robert. That is going backwards. Yes, and what I don't understand, don't they see it? Something is wrong with this picture. From their point of view, what happens on Earth is a trifle. And what many humans wish to experience is the great struggle against that. Others will leave in mass. So they want the end of the race? Is that what they want? End of the game? That seems to be the case to me. Wow, what a strong feeling came to me now. Although it's been said before. I feel like there are no humans here in 3D. All are ETs, and the rest are Matrix for the ETs to play the game of all this fight, as you have said. There is no one to liberate. There is nobody here. Gosha, I've been saying that for months. The human condition is only applicable while they are there, whoever they are, because it is not a race. Yes, but a strange feeling came to me from another angle. They are all ETs. We have always known this, yes, but I mean that all this struggle to free humans, etc., is like some video game for ETs. There are no humans to free. It is all implanted, all fake, everything. There are no humans. There is no matrix system. There is nothing. It's just the virtual game. We have entered as ETs, as one enters video games. No one to liberate. At least someone has understood. The game is only getting tougher. It's a nightmare level, that's all. But the Federation and others know it's just Xbox One. But then if so, why are you there in orbit helping? And Yazhi, in this case, why be sad? Because in some cases, these souls put on some kind of program for themselves from which they cannot easily get out? That by individual choice as an experience, to know what it feels like more clearly, to make it more interesting, so that you can't escape before you learn what it feels like. And why did I feel sad? In my case, because not only do I see the level of the game, but I also understand the despair that is there while inside. Comment Robert. Thank you. Because this is maddening, yes? I know, and I am feeling it. I know Aneka too. Comments Robert. Maybe this game is very complicated, and some do not want to stop playing it. They are in a loop mode. And they forget that it is the game. We are reminders. Yes, and those who die just exit the game. It's only tragic from within. And 5D is also a game. It is just another level of the same game. It is the role that the ETs fulfill on the ship. But they all go in and out of Earth using immersions and the like, at will. All ETs that are on ships, in one way or another, are involved with Earth. Even me, I could not be more genetically extraterrestrial, mentally too. However, I have a strong human component in addition to Taygetan, for the simple fact that I have passed through so many things on Earth, which is the same as being a human being, only with other rules and no. Comments Robert. About the game, the problem is fear and panic about leaving this game. Fear is nothing more than separation from the source, produced by the game itself to fulfill a purpose, that is, to capture an experience. Asks Robert. Outside this 3D, is this fear lost? 5D is also a game, and there are also fears. In itself, people like us here yelling at others to wake up are just the mums and dads who annoy their teenage children to stop playing so much video games and do something responsible, like taking out the trash or mowing the lawn. Asks Robert. But fear of death in 5D? Knowing that you are eternal and remember several lives? You know it on an intellectual level, but you are bodily programmed to fear death. But it's your body, not you. Although there is a component of ego there to prevent the experience of that avatar with a human name from ending. Okay, the problem continues to be this. Some people want to be more awake in the game, to be more aware, not to be vaccinated, and that must be respected too, game or no game. This is the game they choose for themselves. Be in the game, more awake, no zombies. And this the Federation has to respect. Okay, yes, but from a point of view that is strictly localized to this timeline, this is not happening yet. And I also see timelines where that does not happen. Other things do, but that does not. And eternal variance between them. Progressively, it is becoming more and more difficult for me to maintain a linearity of the timeline. I understand. And another thing, you said there comes a point where the Federation, who control the 3D matrix from above, have no choice but to dissolve the entire game and start over. Compulsory vaccines and the chip is their way to end the game? Yes, but this is based, by their own laws, on what humans want. Yes, but like we mentioned before, they don't look at what the awakened ones want, just what the sheep want. Convenient and unethical. For this law to be correct, they would have to be consistent and give us, the awakened ones, what we want to. On one plane only, you can't give everything to opposite fields, so they give what goes with the collective. What the awakened desire will be given to them on another plane, according to them. And no, nothing is ethical. Everything is conflict of interest. The only ethical thing in this case could be to do nothing, not to intervene. And surprise, surprise, it is what most of the truly advanced races also do. The awakened ones don't want it on another plane. We want it here and now. The collective of the awakened humans is huge too. They are in conflict with what the collective wants, the majority. They do not enter into integration, neither. They do not understand the perspective of the asleep ones, and the asleep ones do not understand the perspective of the awakened. The awakened wish to wake up the sleeping ones because they believe that this is the right thing to do, and the asleep mock the awakened ones because they also want them to return to normality, because they also see it as the right thing to do. That is why I was telling you above that there is no objective reality. Asks Robert. And how come we can't visualize another timeline? Because you are in the 3D immersed there, and no matter how awake you are, you will always have the 3D perspective influencing you as well. In itself, that's what the 3D human body is for, to be a filter that can only allow you to see and be aware of certain things and planes. I do not want to wake up anyone who does not want to be awakened. I never talk about these issues, for example, with people in the Matrix. I feel like I impose myself. I let them be. I lived with my ex-partner for 7 years, an awake person with a non-awake one, and it is possible. The only thing I ask is not to impose the desire of not awakened ones only, such as vaccines, etc. Somehow leave us in peace, coexisting. Mandatory vaccination and all, this is not leaving us alone, the awakened ones. Comments Robert. Right, Gosha, I don't want what the majority wants at all. And like you, thousands, and each time more. That is why they have to listen to them. In fact, I'm going to ask more people to make videos, expressing what they want, and nobody's going to say, I want to live in peace upon leaving Earth. Everyone is going to say, we want peace on Earth now. Comments Robert. Our wishes are as valid as the others. Not because we are a minority do we have to suffer their fears. But how do you give two opposite things, two opposite worlds to people who live together? And the Federation does not give things to them as in the great dad who gives them that. That is the mentality of humans, of victims. The Federation only oversees that the principal current of humans is respected, so to speak. In other words, it is the work of humans to solve the problem and generate a world as they want it. And you can only get there by experiencing what you don't want, by contrast, because it is everything. And Gosha, you said, everyone is going to say, we want peace on Earth now. That is the perception of someone awake, but the average population still wants their 3D experience. They only see banal and superficial things as the problem, such as that there are no jobs, or that corruption must be eradicated. The Federation is not going to solve anything for them. They will have to generate it. But making these videos is important. For starters, it will make it clear to people what they want simply by taking an effort to make a video. And with this, it also helps me to realize where the minds of the people who follow us are, because they are the closest ones to us who bother to make those videos. Without them, They would only be number of visits in a video, not people. So this brings me closer to them personally. Yes, and this will also have an etheric reaction. It is them themselves who generate reality. And also, the Federation has to attend to that. They give them things that they feel the humanity asks for. Well, they attend to them because their role is to take care, whatever that means, asks Robert. And what is the use of knowing what the people want if it cannot be given to them? Just to be closer? To know what they want? I want to know what they want, not the 5D Federation. Although I do not doubt that it will make some members of the Federation become aware of things too. Also, I feel that somehow what people express they desire is generated, even if it is to activate something on the higher planes. These wishes reach beyond 5D. They are expressions of their souls. They are statements of their desire. And with that, it manifests. I feel that this way or another, these videos work. That is what I mean. Making the videos makes people focus and realize what they really want. It is the best way to hear what the people who follow us really want. And they are automatically the ones who make the videos. But maybe they should be directed in a different way. Not that the things they say are for the Federation. Not for the Federation, no. Simply so that they describe how they wish to have their experience on Earth. Not later or when they leave, here and now. What is it that they declare from their deepest souls for their experience here? Their desire from 3D is as relevant as from other planes, I feel. We are all always consciousness. It doesn't matter where.